Good morning. I'm Malcolm Nance. This is Black Man Spy, U.S.-Iran WARCAST update, where every day we update all of the most essential things that you need to know about the U.S.-Iran war without just reading the same news articles over and over again, as some people are wont to do. This is day 36 of the U.S.-Iran war. It has been going on nonstop since 28 February 2026. And with that, we're going to get to it with my co-host, Wajeeh, the gay lion uh, from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Good morning, Waj.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Is your name Wajeeh like Wajid because you have
No,
for duty?
no, Wajeeh from the face of the
Face
people.
Wajid. You're Wajid.
Yeah,
Wajid Allah. You all
yeah,
right?
Wajeeh comes from the person that represents the people, the face of the
The
people.
face of the people. Awaji.
That's right.
Okay, a wedgie. Okay. I don't have to run over and grab my hands there Arabic English dictionary and look up which measure that comes from to wajah, to face. So I'm glad to see you here. We do not have Danish intelligence officer. Oh, by the way, Wajeeh is Saudi Arabian geopolitical expert on the Middle Eastern region. And we are missing our friend Jacob Karsbo, former Danish Middle East intelligence officer, Middle East Danish Armed Forces intelligence, and national intelligence. He is skiing in France on the French,
France.
Italian, Swiss Alps, right? So his wife is no nonsense. She's a very lovely person. I've had dinner with her, and they're like, "Hey, we're out. We're out for the week.
Familia
Go
time,
find
baby.
someone else." Right? The war is going to. This is what I like about Jacob's attitude. Oh, the war is going to be there when I'm done. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. The war is still here. He's going to come back tomorrow and be like, "Yeah, I didn't miss anything." So that being said, um, yeah, I'm glad to have you here. First thing, what coffee mug are you using? Watch.
My Italian.
You're on your Italian. I'm back to the Turkish mugs so that I can have little
You're
shots of
drinking.
espresso. Lit-
You're drinking
lit-
hot Turkish.
Little shots of espresso, which I like to remind everybody comes from my little Turkish set right here, which of all places I got in Kiev, Ukraine.
Yeah.
This tiny little Turkish coffee place in the underground. If you know Kiev, near the Gum department store, there's an underground passageway that you can shop in winter. And they have lots of markets and all sorts of things down there. And there's this one Turkish guy there, and he sells great Turkish coffee. So he can make you Turkish coffee too. So he'd make me a Turkish coffee as a gift while I waited for my coffee to be ground up. And I bought this gift set. I said, "Hey, if I'm going to be on the battle in my little dirt ass command post in Kharkiv, Ukraine, I want to have a little touch of style." And he sold me that. And I kept telling him, "Hey, I'm using this all the time." He thought that was hilarious. It's also, I'm having my dates because dates are a symbol of welcome. And these are dates from Siwa, Egypt, Western Egypt, where every year, come this November, I'm doing the 85th anniversary tour of the origins of the Special Air Service, the SAS, and the Long Range Desert Group, the LRDG. This is the 85th anniversary since the beginning of their founding in World War II in Egypt. So we go to Cairo, we go all around Alexandria, out to the battlefield of El Alamein. Then we go south into Siwa, where the SAS and the LRDG actually carried out their operations from. So if you're watching that TV show, what is it, Rogue Heroes, and they're like, "Oh, we're here in Libya." Well, no, you weren't there in Libya. You generally operated out of Siwa, and then eventually, towards the end of the war, you went to Libya, right? So, but they did do their operations mainly in Libya. So these are Sirawi dates that I'm having with my coffee. Mm.
The nice thing about these particular dates is they're very sweet, a little dry but firm. and you can like get a good chew out of it in the same time. But it's good. You could it'll fill you up real quick.
Hilwa. I mean, they're good. Okay.
Hmm.
Someone said, I've not eaten dates, but I have been on a few. Good, good joke. All right, you guys. All right, good morning. First things first, we are going to go to the casualty count. Do you have the Al Jazeera live count? Which I'm pretty
Yes.
sure has not changed because I know Lebanon, the numbers are dramatically up. Wajeeh is going to take a look at that. Mm. Patricia said she loved eating dates in Turkey. Oh, if I was in Turkey. Have you been to Istanbul?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
My
Well,
cousins live there.
nothing I love more than the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul or having a nice lunch out in the old Medina and eating pounding down Turkish delight and really good Turkish coffees.
You go for the
Love soup.
Turkish delight. I'm going for the baklava, habibi.
Oh, dude, I can't have baklava. I can't have that much sugar. So, all right, let's go with the casualty count. Watch it. Give us the casualty count.
Lebanon, 1,345 people killed, 4,040 people injured. Palestine, 4 people killed. Israel, 24 people killed, 6,000 people, 594 people injured. And then you got Jordan, 24 injured. Iraq, 109 people killed. Kuwait, you have 7 people killed, mostly of workers. U.S. military, which is big, really important for most of the viewers here. It says 13. I think that number is a little higher. 200 injured. You have in Saudi Arabia 2 officially killed. I believe they're all workers, and 22 injured. Oman, 3 killed, 15 injured. UAE, 12 killed, 190 injured. Qatar, you have 16 people injured. Bahrain, you have 3 killed. Iran, which is who we're fighting at the moment, 2,076 kills and 26,500 injured.
Yeah. Well,
You want?
by the way, that's an increase for Israel. I think that over the week they were holding steady at 17, and we had a hand count of like 22. Now they're acknowledging 24. And don't forget, people could die of their injuries. A lot of people have been being injured in Israel now. I mean, Iran, for all of this talk about the Iranians not being very good or running out of missiles, I've said from the very beginning that arch down of their low launches but higher impacts is a sign of a strategy. It is not
Yeah.
them running out of missiles. And I had lots of people like, you're a loser. You don't know what you're talking about. America's the best. Hooyah, hooyah. Well, now, yesterday, CNN comes out with a report saying the United States may have not even struck half of the missiles that Iran has in their inventory.
You
And
know,
Iran may have
yeah,
already expended many of them. So we're going to talk more about that. All right, let's move on. Price of oil.
you got it.
Okay, read it off for us. Whoa, West
You,
Texas Intermediate is a 111.
yeah. Here, let me enlarge this a little bit for you guys.
Yeah. Okay. So I see WTI crude, that's West Texas Intermediary, is at 111.54. That's the one that impacts you the most in the United States. Brent North Sea crude is 109. Morban crude is 114. How those are holding steady, but West Texas is skyrocketing. These are futures, and they're saying the future ain't good at all. That's
Well,
what that tells you.
the what's interesting is that the Saudis have been coming up recently and been and I wrote an article about that based on a video that the Saudi propaganda pumped out yesterday, saying that they have amazing pipeline that they have built under the ground. They have amazing tunnels they have spent billions for. They have been preparing for some situation like this, and they are capable of transferring at least 5 million barrels of oil. So they see themselves, even though it's a small fraction of what they were doing, at least they see they can continue to have a lifeline, which is stabilizing the market, the oil market for them.
Yep. All right. Okay. Thanks for the oil update. Good. We're going to go on today. We hope that we can get this show under an hour so that I can have a life. We're going to go to the significant activities. Now, this morning, we have a significant combat activity that we need to discuss, and I will show you the video related to it. It has not yet been confirmed, but the evidence is looking really good that the United States has lost an F-15E strike fighter over Iran we can't determine where it is. I've been hearing two different things, southern Iran or south of Tehran, the capital. Some say they were doing operations off Qasem Island, striking the small boat facilities there. Others say that it was carrying out where the Alborz Mountains, the Zagros Mountains south of Tehran, where the Yazid facility is. This is an Iranian infrared tracker. If you see the large green box is the wide area, the narrower yellow box, right, is the heat-seeking area, and the tight yellow box is the lock-on for the tracker. And if this is the right video, this ain't pretty. Let's see it. Well, first, let me give you some volume so that you can hear it because there is audio to this. He says, so he says, hey, we got it. I'm going to show you another video that shows that's a little better quality, and it shows the pilots ejecting. So I didn't trust this video at all yesterday. I made sure that, the U.S. Central Command almost immediately came out and said they have not lost any aircraft there. Hold on, Iranian. Central Command came out and said that they did not have any aircraft lost. Now we may be finding they were playing a word game like, oh, we knew where it got shot down. We just didn't lose it. Well, this is the video I thought when I first saw it. I thought, oh, it looks like an Iranian Phantom, but it doesn't have any Phantom. There's no Phantoms flying. So if you look close, I'm going to put it up closer and I'm going to break out what's going on. This is the thermal image. The kind of missiles that have been used recently that were successful, damaging the F-35, shooting down drones, U.S. reconnaissance drones, and this one are heat-seeking. You can't. Yep. There's no warning until the last moment, and it's going after the heat on your engine. So F-15 has two engines. Here we go. That's the explosion. Aircraft starts catching fire. Now, I'm going to show you something that if you're not looking for it, you wouldn't notice. That's the explosion. Boom, not good. Engines now start to malfunction. The aircraft starts to lose control. If you look, wait, I'll show it to you. And fireball starts to blow up. And once it starts to catch fire, There you go. There's two flashes of light. These are the thermal signatures of the two ejection seats going off. They have now egressed out of the aircraft, ejected out of the aircraft, and are now in free fall. And as I kept saying to people who go, oh, they shot down an airplane, I said, I need to see the ejection seats. I need to see the engine. I need to see more than just a tailpiece. They could have winged it. But when I watched this one, I was like, damn, I don't know. That looks pretty good that we lost that aircraft. Now, here's the aircraft coming down. White is hot in this image, okay? Against the sky, white is hot. That's the aircraft coming down to crash and blow up, spiraling out of the sky. Now, you know what this is going to do? That's sections of the aircraft just coming into pieces. So there it is. Boom, two ejection seats go off. Aircraft spirals out of control. This is starting to look real. That is starting to look like they actually shot an F-15 down. The Iranians initially reported an F-35. F-35 does not have two seats. It has one seat. And that is clearly two ejection seats going off. Yes, sir.
And these rockets that the Iranians are using, they're not very smart. They only follow heat. And therefore, they're very, very cheap. And they have many of them. And all they need to do is come out of a cave and aim it and they shoot it. And it flies in the sky until it finds that heat signature. And then it chases that plane until it hits it. So they don't even need to see or find the actual plane. They just need to fire the missile if they know that there is a plane in the area, and the missile will follow it because these planes are the hottest planes that exist in our.
Yep. And they're flying hot. Okay, to further on to this, if this was real, as I kept saying to people who were out there, because I said, I'm agnostic on this until I see some things. I need to see more than a tiny section of a tail wing. That could have been damaged. I need to see jet engines. I need to see ejection seats. And then I need to have the disposition of the pilot and the weapons systems officer, the guy in the back. And if that video was legit, they did two clean ejections, which means they're out there somewhere, right? And I said, if this were actually happening, what we would generally see if it was a semi-permissible environment, we would see combat search and rescue go in there. If it was not, they would tell those pilots to get out of the way, to evade, hole up until nighttime. We generally do not do combat search and rescue until nighttime. As you know, I was a survival, evasion, resistance, and escape instructor for the U.S. Navy's SEER School, which handles this, right? What happens if you eject or get caught behind enemy lines? You have to survive, escape, if captured, resist, survive, evade, and if captured, resist and try to escape. Well, Iranian TV came out about an hour ago and started saying, Malcolm, you need more evidence. This is an official Iranian TV report asking people in a certain part south of Tehran to start hunting for a pilot and a co-pilot of a downed U.S. jet. There's no translation. I'll just give you a taste of it.
زندگانی و پاداش ارزشمندی دریافت می‌کنید.
So do your duty, hunt down those naughty Americans. That's what she said. So
Yeah,
that's
Hussein.
going on. Yes, sir.
No, I was just making fun of. Yeah, Hussein.
Yeah, Hussein. So, okay, now the evidence is starting to pile up just in the last couple of hours that something's going on. This is supposedly, this is some of the photographic evidence of the pieces of the aircraft. Shows that this is the U.S. Air Force's Europe is on there. This is the upper tail fin of an F-15. Legit. But that is a crater. And I would expect to see a lot more debris. Wings, jet engines, two giant jet engines there. We will see. Not the most advanced aircraft in the world. It's not a stealth fighter by any stretch of the imagination. But Malcolm, if this is real and legit, we should be seeing some combat search and rescue. Yes, you should be seeing some combat search and rescue. And now we are finding out in the last few hours, combat search and rescue is starting to take place. This is an American C-130 flying over Iran in the daylight. That ain't right. That means we know where those pilots are, and we already got helicopters on the way. Here's some. That's a US C-130 flying relatively low altitude.
What does this plane specialize in, Malcolm?
That aircraft is a airborne special operations navigation and refueling aircraft. And here it is, topping up the CSAR helicopters.
Wow. So it's just it's supporting the operation, essentially.
Yes. It's what we call a pathfinder. It'll pathfind by leading you precisely to the spot. What is missing out of here is the gunships. Now, these helicopters look like they're what we call MH-60 DAPs. Normally, the Air Force would be flying combat search and rescue for a mission like this with a parajumper, a PJ pararescueman, providing medical support. These, because it is intensely hostile airspace, would use U.S. Army 160th Special Operations Regiment DAPs. A DAP stands for Direct Action Penetrator, which means a MH-60 transport with a shitload of guns and rockets on it. A shitload. And they would act as gunship and rescue helicopter all at the same time. The very fact that this stuff is happening in daylight, bad or good, which means that the pilots are within readily recoverable range where they have laid out a space where they can get to them. So this just ain't seen in the daytime. We would tell the pilots to hole up, escape, evade, get as far away from the crash site as possible. Looking. Here's more video of helicopters in Iraq. That's that C-130. There's more helicopters. That one's coming back. Where there's one, there should be two. And they're flying particularly relatively high. 5,000-6,000 feet. For them, that's like high in the sky. More evidence. This is a U.S. Air Force Austin Baker ejection seat. This is the evidence I was looking for. This is the seat itself. This is the probe. I mean, not a probe. It's called a drogue. The drogue is attached to the main chute. This whole seat comes down, and once it goes off, whoosh, up in the sky, this drogue comes out, and what it does is it cuts away the ejection seat from the pilot. The pilot does not land in that seat. The pilot is separated from the seat, and the seat falls. Right? This is a giant rocket sled that shoots him or her into the sky. Right? And the pilots will come down on a parachute on their feet. Yes, sir.
I know in the past the ejection itself could cause an injury.
Yeah.
Is that still the same?
Hey,
today?
You're going like 15 G's in less than a second. Yes, it'll cause severe whiplash. This is why the ejection seat actually positions you when it's time to punch out. You have to, in some aircraft, the old aircraft, you had to pull two handles in front of you, but it would lock you in the correct position with your head back, right? Now some would pull over you to the top of your head. Oh, I'm sorry. I can show you this. I'm doing this. I'm pantomiming to no one. The old days, they would have an ejection seat that would have handles above your head, yellow and black handles, and you'd pull it down, and it would put you into the proper position for ejection. Some would be between your legs. You pull them up.
You're not in the center.
Right. So it's a trick to get you there. I'd say I'm not centered. But that's the purpose of it. You can see my drone war rug. my, my drone war carpet from Afghanistan. So, yeah, it's starting to look legit that we have lost, a USF 15. However, let's see what the latest on it is. Yeah. What is this about? Okay, this is a USC 130 that's avoiding flares. It avoids flares by avoids missiles by dropping flares. You see it pop, all these brilliant things come off it. Anywhere that they assess there could be a surface to air missile, they pop it off, like going over an urban area. The IRGC has announced that they have shot down an F-15, but the video, there's a lot of fake video out there that shows like a missile chasing an airplane. That's fake, right? There's so much real stuff out there, but the internet is full of these people who just feel obliged to put out fake videos all the time. So, right now, the search and rescue is underway for the two pilots. And some people, of course, the Iranians are going to report that they captured the pilots. It'll be like two 15-year-old Iranians, in some old flight suits or something. But we need to prepare ourselves for the possibility that we could have two American pilots paraded around. And many of our pilots are women, although that will be a novelty for them. I trained people in what to do when you got your feet on the ground, right? Pilots, Navy, Marine Corps pilots, special operations guys, what we call level C, high risk of capture. And the first thing is you Dutch that parachute. This is not a escape. It's not a survival situation. It is a evasion operation. Get your evasion kit. Get your survival kit that's in the seat pan, and you figure out what direction you're going to, and you go to it. Get some cover and keep a moving. Get on that radio and start calling it in. Now, that may be a reason why Central Command was like, we didn't lose a plane, ... We know exactly where they are. They're shot down in central Iran, right? But it's pretty clear that the United States has an aircraft that's been shot down. We shall see after that. Wajeeh, what do you think, man?
Listen, well, first of all, I pray, even though like I'm not that religious, I pray that the two pilots are safe and are successfully evading the Iranians and able to get rescued.
Yep.
But I won't
I've
go
I've
for
got
it.
some new video for you. Hold on. This is clearly in Iran. And I really cannot believe that these guys are flying in daylight and at that altitude, which means that they felt it was less risky. There must have been around a populated area, and they were like, "Fuck it, we're in." And here they are, the MC-130 aircraft with the two MH-60 helicopters. That's going in. The other one was coming out. As you see, a lot of civilians out there, a lot of civilians with cameras. The reason they're screaming is they think that we're bombing. We're not. It's just dropping flares. So, wow, that's going to be a high risk. That's going to be a high risk mission there.
I wanna ask the audience, especially American audience, how their morale would feel once they see U.S. soldiers paraded in Iranian towns. I genuinely want to hear your opinion. Like, do you want to see your soldiers get paraded in a country that has been looking at you and I don't know. Like we've been putting them in a very tight spot for years economically, and They cannot wait to have an opportunity to get their hands on an American soldier on their territory.
Okay. Now there's reports going left and right saying Central Command is once again saying that they didn't lose anybody. Okay. All right. We gotta take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt. But I gotta tell you, the Iranians, they are on their Lego game. They don't waste any time. This was released by the Iranian embassy in Thailand just now. So if there wasn't an aircraft shot down, they are going all the way to play with our heads. All right. And it's quite possible that the MC-130s in Iran were not related to that. However, daylight flights of MC-130s with those MH-60 helicopters that look like the direct action penetrators, you will not be flying in daytime if that's legit. Some serious trouble is happening if you're flying in Iran in daytime.
What kind
You
of
know,
forces
that
would you be sending
that
in Iraq?
C-130 for Lara, who's asking, yes, paratroopers jump out of it, but that's not what that one is. That's a Pathfinder. Okay, we shall see. And you never know. Maybe they just got a clip of an aircraft and it didn't actually go down, and the Iranians are staging things. So it's all over the place. But right now, holy shit, there's a lot of Iranian footage coming up. A
Let
lot
me
of
ask you
footage.
this, Melton. If you would be one to send a rescue team, what kind of team would you send in Iran?
Well, we have these are called CSAR packages, right? These combat search and rescue packages. And usually it depends on the distance. If the distance is very far in a place like this, like you're flying from Kuwait, that's where they would be flying from, right? Or they would be staged like on Bubiyan Island in Kuwait. That's the closest place. What I would do is I would go out over the ocean, right? And let me give you guys some indication of this on Google Earth. I would go out over the ocean because civilians are screwy. You don't know where guns are. You could map this all you want, right? And you can see in the video that there's snow-capped mountains there. So I'm going to show you this on Google Earth. If we're starting our rescue package from like Bubiyan Island here in Kuwait, or we could be in Nasiriyah Air Base in Iraq, right there, or Zuwaitina, there's another place down there. You could launch off that island, that place first, but this is all occupied terrain. Even though it's swamp marsh and everything leading up to Khorramshahr and Bandar Khomeini, right? It's all occupied territory. There are people there everywhere. And you could come in here over the slightly unoccupied place and already have pre-routed waypoints going in over these mountains to where you know that there are no anti-aircraft guns, there are very few people. But if you do this in daytime, yes, you're going to be using a MC-130, combat, Talon aircraft to act as a wayfinder. What I'm finding a little funny is there's no AC-130 gunship, right? If there's trouble, we're going to send an AC-130 gunship. Right? Culleton just said it. Shouldn't there be a Ghost Rider? That's what we call the AC-130 Ghost Rider. It is a gunship. It used to be known as the Spooky. And it has a boatload of machine guns and cannons that fire thousands of rounds of bullets off to the side. And generally, that's what we have them there for, to sanitize the area around any pilot. Now, the combat Talons, they now sport missiles that they carry on their wings, but they don't have guns. So, but you would have these routes going in. I would have had a heavy task force. They thought light, but as you can see, they felt very comfortable flying at altitude. There aren't many Iranian radars, but there are a lot of guys with rifles. and machine guns, and you don't want the golden BB to reach up and knock you down. So
And I don't know
we
if you
shall see.
remember the Iraq War. The Iraqi War, many, many basic farmers in Iraq took out their rifles and shot down helicopters that were just flying over their farms. I don't know if you guys remember this, but even though I was a child, I remember news coming out from Al Jazeera. Such and such, with he's a farmer, went out and saw a helicopter and shot it, and the helicopter's down. Like, helicopters are not they're easy
Oh,
targets because they fly low and they're slow.
look at this. Someone has geolocated this to here. Malcolm, why are you right all the time? Because we have to think in the exact same way. You don't want to fly over high to contested terrain with lots of civilians. You want to find your gaps in between, and this is where they're in the mountains, coming down over the mountains. The way that they're flying either indicates that they have the pilot in the West Wizzo, or that they have confirmed the Americans have been taken. And the way that you're going to do that is we make calls on our radios, right? Every pilot carries a CSAR radio, small combat search and rescue radio. And what they do is when you get shot down, the moment that ejection seat goes off, you get all across. Now, remember, I'm signals intelligence, so our job would be to listen. On frequencies like 151.5 or other designated frequencies, a ejection seat emergency beacon would go off, right? And you're sitting there, you got your headphones on, and you're like, oh, this day is so boring. Why are there no dogfights? And then suddenly you go, wee, 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 and it's like, whoa, that's not good. And then you wait to see if there's a second one, right? And then all of a sudden your combat search and rescue teams, who have an intelligence liaison in the CSAR, in the strike forces, there'll always be a CSAR officer, and that guy will be like, whoa, we got 2 guys down, we got an F-15 down, we got beacons going off here, and here. And at that point, he's going to press like a little button. It's not a button, it's actually an alarm. And the combat search and rescue teams who are sitting there in their gear on the helicopter for an 8-hour watch shift, right? We'll spool those helos up. The combat Talon will take off. They will get their beacon and they will start going to predetermined entry points. At each one of these points, they will determine a go, no-go sequence. We are at waypoint Alpha in the middle of the Persian Gulf. Do we go? Right? They call back. They go, yes, the beacons are still good. Right? They go, okay, we go. He goes back. They go to the next waypoint, which is halfway into Iran. Do we still have beacons? Are we a go to move on to waypoint Charlie? They would say, yes, carry on. Boom, you go to waypoint Charlie. All right. And then they go, do we have positive communications with the pilots? Right? Positive communications is this, right? What's a great Sky Slaughter 2-1, or Basher 01 was an actual call sign used in an F-16 that was shot down over Bosnia by the Serbs. So we call out Basher 01. This is Sky Slaughter 5. Do you read me? And on his little radio beacon is already sending out an encrypted signal, which we're going in on, and then he will call us. He'll go, yeah, Ace's seat. He'll go, Sky Slaughter 1, Sky Slaughter 5, this is Basher 01. I am on the ground. I am mobile. I am moving from my waypoint, right? My bullseye on a course of 251 or 250, 3 miles away. That means from the spot where I landed, where my beacon went off, where you find my parachute, I am moving to the northwest or whichever direction that he has. It's very exciting, this kind of thing. when it happens, but it has to happen. So what's the question that's going on? All I know is there is a lot of footage coming out of Iran of U.S. search and rescue aircraft over Iran. This isn't one or two people. We're now up to like 15 separate videos. So something happened, but for something to happen, for those aircraft to be egressing in daylight is extremely extraordinary.
Someone was asking the point in the map, what was it? It is the where we expect the location of the pilot uh plane drop.
Well,
Is that correct?
what we that point on the map is where we think we have a datum. I believe that orange symbol there was where people were videotaping that aircraft. It has been geolocated. Here, I'll show you on the map now. It appears to be east of Bandar Mashar, between this place, Karachsat, Saran, and Bandar Mashar. That is a good entry point, right? You come out over the ocean, they don't know you're there. If it's nighttime, which it might have been 3 or 4 hours ago, nighttime, they come through here, big gaps, cruise the mountains, wave at the goat herders, try to stay away from big cities, skirt around Esfahan or go between these cities in the mountain. And they said it was south of Tehran. Well, freaking everything's south of Tehran on this map, right? And then exit whichever route they predetermined to the closest search and rescue recovery point. So, big stuff going on in Iran. Okay, that's the biggest thing that's going on. Lots of other stuff going on. So, I'm going to take you back to my bookmarks where I had all the other drama that was happening there. Okay. What do we have? Iranian strikes. Iran has struck a lot of places in the last 24 hours. I don't want to hear anybody saying that this war is not going on. Okay? Things are going on. This one's one. Yes.
I wanted to if you would allow me to disagree with you on a point you said a few days ago or yesterday. Um, you said if the United States stopped attacking Iran today, Iran would open the Strait of Hormuz. Is that correct? Like I was just thinking about that the other day, and if I was thinking, well, if Trump could pull out of the war, he would have done that by now, I think. One. Two, even if Trump stopped fighting Iran, Iran is the one that chooses when the war ends because they're the ones that got attacked and they are the ones that are on a revenge stream, not the United States. Like we talked about the John Wick, mindset of a widow and how that would make you someone that only wants to take revenge. So I was sitting down with Saudis, and they are and people from the GCC, and that is all they talked about. They are talking about the fact. Uh, oh shoot, where did Malcolm go? Uh, uh, we lost you. As soon as what, we lost you. China hacked them or Iran or Peter. We are back. Are you okay? Mr. Malcolm. Can you guys hear Malcolm? Oh, he's trying again. Well, I want to have a discussion with Malcolm. That's why I'm not go. I like I want to have his opinion. I'm not trying to just preach my opinion here. I genuinely want to know what he thinks about this, Mr. Malcolm. He's trying again.
Ah, you got me?
Welcome back.
All right,
Yeah.
sorry. Sometimes, I'm sorry to tell you, but sometimes Substack crashes. And when you start getting high numbers, it just crashes. And mine, I had like plenty of power. Like go in there and I'm like talking, "Bah, bah, bah," and it just cut out. But I'm glad you filled in. Go
I
ahead.
wanted
I
to.
heard you. I heard you pontificating. So please pontificate some more.
I want to have your opinion on this. I want to have a discussion on this, if you don't mind. You were saying that if the United States, if Trump decided today to stop attacking Iran, if the missiles stop falling on them, Iran would open up the Strait of Hormuz. So I was sitting down, strategizing, looking at the numbers, sitting down with Saudis, talking to them, and all I heard was constant fear that no, well, they're the ones that get to decide when this war ends because they're on the revenge streak. You talked before about the John Wick mindset
Yeah.
of a widow and how
Right.
that becomes just like a tunnel vision of like we need to end this. So can we actually like I what's your opinion on that perspective? That the Iranians are the one that get to call the end of the war, not Trump. And if Trump was able to get out of the war, he would have done that by now.
That is exactly right. I think the Iranians, the only way that the Iranians this war can end is when Iran decides it's over. I mean, who attacked whom? They are on the up. They're they are not here to win the military war. They knew about that, right? They can win on the fields that they choose to win on. But the one field that they can choose is to essentially hold the world's economy in its hands and allow Trump to take the blame for it. That's the best part. Iranians don't have to do jack but sit there and say, we're just not going to let you move any oil. And that's where their asymmetric power comes in. I say this all the time. Iran's greatest advantage to everything is really geography. And not just geography, not just having the Gulf, but also the topography of that geography, right? High mountains, low Gulf, look down on you, easy to shoot from. I mean, in the old days, our big thing was artillery, worrying about artillery cannons and sea mines, right? Now it's a million things that could come out and bite you. Suicide bomb boats, suicide torpedoes, drones, all sorts of things there. So, yeah, this war is really in Iran's hands. And like all people who do not listen to intelligence and people with experience who understand and respect the culture, Trump just thinks they're a bunch of towelheads. Really. I would not be surprised if at some point we hear that from the White House, Trump was calling them a bunch of raghead mullahs. And then we're going to find that tells you all you need to know. The Strait of Hormuz will open when Iran wants it to open. And I will make a very bold, easy prediction here. I've been through the Strait of Hormuz many times. There will not be the easy pass. They will stop using the multipass. When America stops its attacks on Iran and ends this war and withdraws its combat forces so that in 48 hours there won't be another attack, that's when Iran will say, Halas, no problem, open. And you will see 150 ships all steaming and piling out of the Strait of Hormuz. And more importantly, you'll see all those ships who, hey, let's go in and get our oil quick while it's high, right? All those ships come back in, both lanes of the traffic separation scheme. But what you will see in the middle of it is IRGC vessels waving and giving you the thumbs up like, don't forget, we could kick your ass at any time, right? And at that moment, Iran will have won this war.
Would that
Period. Done.
stop the actual? What if, like, the United States stops bombarding Iran, but Israel is still bombarding them?
Then Iran will just keep punishing the world for Israel. You got to get everyone to stop. Israel
That's
cannot just
exactly
fly
my point.
in.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
Trump could sit down all day wanting to stop this war, but as long as Israel is sitting down and, like, sabotaging every single peace talk and every single ceasefire, what is stopping all of this from happening?
I'm going to say this for the 100th time. Everybody take note. I know people write to me and they're like, I can't believe you're agreeing with that Nazi Joe Kent. Joe Kent's not a Nazi. He's a brave person who has fought honorably for the United States. His problem was he became MAGA. But while he was there, he had an epiphany. And he said, we're being led around by the nose ring on this one by Netanyahu. And guess what? He's right. We reported yesterday about the guy, the former foreign minister. He was the guy negotiating, was supposed to meet up and coordinate with the Pakistanis and J.D. Vance, right? As soon as the Israelis found out, they tried to kill him. They bombed his house and killed his wife. You think that guy is going to want to open his mouth now? No one's going to want to negotiate on behalf of Iran because the Israelis will assassinate them. And now we start seeing Netanyahu out of control, out of real control. And I just feel bad for the Israelis, right? They're getting this. How long can you keep at this? Right? The War of the Cities went 2 weeks, right? War of the Cities 2.0 in 2024 went for 2 weeks. We're in a month now. Iran could make this go on for months. Months. And, is that Dan? Dan says they're eating missiles every day, right? One of them. Yeah, that's Dan Demendenberg. He's now my unofficial liaison to Tel Aviv. We're coming to have coffee at your place. We'll take you to Yaffo. I know a great place there. But he says they're eating missiles every day. Every day. You cannot go about your life and the Iranians are pacing them so that there's only a couple of hours at a time that you have time off before you got to get back into a bomb shelter. And for a lot of people, now you know what it's like to live in Kyiv, Ukraine. But it's just that in Kyiv, it's much bigger. Israel is small. It's tiny, and you can, we're just 100-meter accident away from a bomb shelter getting hit, and then maybe a dozen people killed, 24, 100. Then at that point, Netanyahu will be crazy for revenge. So it's a full circle, of revenge cycle. But if the United States stop operations, the guarantee has to be that Israel stops their operations, right? And you think the Saudis are going to want to keep taking this, or the Yemenis, or not the Yemenis, the Qataris will be sitting there minding their own business thinking, yay, we escaped the war. And then boom, 2, 3, 4 more, water plants get destroyed. And the Iranians go, you're the Qataris. You have an Israeli consulate in your country. We warned you. They hit us. We hit you.
Yeah.
War's back on. War never ends.
Can we talk about the bridge the United States has, a civilian bridge the United States has demolished in Iran?
Yes,
Is th-
I was coming to
is
that, but go ahead.
okay?
Bring- I'll
Isn't
bring up
that
a
a war
picture.
crime?
Yeah. The United States, well, it depends. Here's the kicker. The
Okay.
United States struck a huge modern suspension bridge uh, that they claim was being used to transport missiles. It's the B1 bridge in Azamiya district of Karaj. Huge bridge going over a massive cavern. Here's the video of it. And we bombed it with several B1 bombers, not B1 bombers, with several JDAM bombs. And here's the kicker: it's it's not the bridge. You'll see the bridge when it's bombed. The section that's gone. There it is. That was the blast of someone that appears to be. Wow, those people. I'm sorry, these people right here. These people right here. They look like they're a good. No, that's a giant crane, so it's a good distance. That's a good 500 meters away, but they're going to feel the blast effect of that 2,000-pound bomb. It's going to knock them off their feet. There you go. That's the actual strike there of that bridge being hit. Now, here's the kicker. That bridge was not completed. So that's where you get into war crimes, right? That guy must have been about a kilometer, 2 kilometers away, and the blast blew him down, the cameraman.
You
Okay.
know what the Iranian government is saying about this?
What are they saying?
The U.S. is so desperate they have to commit war crimes to bring us to the negotiating table and end this war.
Yeah. Okay. They would say that. Now, let's go to that's it for the strikes. By the way, Kuwait's Ahmadiyya oil refinery was hit. The Habshan oil pipeline was hit again. But let's do significant political acts and we will go to questions. Right here, Donald Trump this morning, 3 minutes before we started this show, went back against everything he said the other night and now goes, with a little more time, we can easily open the Hormuz Strait, take the oil, and make a fortune. It would be a gusher for the world. President Donald J. Trump. So, okay, people, Jesus Christ, what is it? Who is talking to him? Who came into the Oval Office this morning? Someone walked in there and goes, yo, we can make a boatload of money. Why ain't we taking that straight? Why ain't you doing it? Let's take Carg Island. Let's take the oil refinery. God damn it, it's back in his head. I suspect. I haven't checked the price of oil since we started. It's only been an hour. We've been talking 1 hour exactly to the minute. Somebody check the price of oil because that is going to create trouble. That is them saying we are going to do it again. Carg Island, Toonba Island, all of these. I cannot understand the incompetence of these people. He's a doddering old man. Somebody 25th Amendment this dude. We're in trouble if he's back to thinking this morning. That's my last word. Wajeeh, what do you say? Let me go to questions.
I am updating the price of oil to see what's the latest updates.
Jeez.
Again, I'm literally writing an article about the end of the U.S. Global hegemony. I'm investigating how all of the U.S. allies are ending their relationship with the United States, not officially, but how things actually work. There was a gentleman that wrote a good article, and I thought he described it very well. He said the Saudi government doesn't have to legally end its relationship with the United States. It's all small decisions that the leaders will make time by time and be the bureaucracy that will end the U.S. global relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You're not
Don't
going to
care.
notice it in one day overnight. It's going to happen gradually, and one day you'll notice, hold on, we're cut off from the whole world.
He doesn't
And they,
care, though. This isn't about world, global, economic, historic, cultural relationships. This is about Donald Trump's relationship with money. You bring it to him, there's a relationship. You don't, no relationship. And that's the world has now spun off its axis, which, by the way, was paid for at the landing at Normandy, right? And fighting all the way across Europe. Okay, I want to cut this really short. I got to answer just one question. I have 7 people ask the same question, right? What does the impact of the firing of those generals in the middle of a war do? All of the firings of these generals are based on one thing, from what we can tell: the white supremacy of Pete Hegseth. The general that he fired, the chief of staff of the army, was the person who would not fire the black and female officers. And then when they checked his record, they were like, he was a general under Joe Biden. Well, he was a general under freaking everybody since Ronald Reagan, right? That guy had almost 40 years experience. We are in a bad place where Pete Hegseth can say, you're retiring. I swear to God, we take back Congress and we get a Democratic president. Every general who was fired should be reinstated with back pay for 4 years. And then we bring them on board to reinvent the Department of Defense. And I'd make them all judge advocates. I would make those guys say, hey, you are going to go through the Pentagon and you are going to find everyone that took part in Trump world, right? Anybody who's not loyal to the Constitution, you shouldn't be there. Pete Hegseth is not loyal. Pete Hegseth could be on an express train to prison because I think that guy's insider trading. All of them were. They're a bunch of effing thieves. That's just my professional intelligence opinion. Wajeeh, thank you for coming. I'm sorry I crashed out in the middle of this, but the system glitches and crashes when we get a lot of people. Tomorrow, it ought to be very interesting. We're going to find out whether these pilots are real, whether they were captured, or whether they escaped, and whether this shoot down was real or not. This could change the dynamic of the whole war. So be sure to tune back in tomorrow, and let's find out. As you know, I was an instructor for how to get through this, even how to be captured, how to be beaten, how to be waterboarded, and we can talk more about that. So, Wajeeh. Shufik Badin, Shufik Bukra.
Shufak Bukra,
All right.
thank you for having me.
You're
Make
welcome.
sure to read the article. Bye-bye.
Oh, and be sure, for those of you who are on YouTube, come over to Substack and subscribe to malcolmnance.substack.com, wajeehalion.substack.com, and give us if you haven't followed us, just follow us. I'm trying to get to 100,000. That's only 3,000 more unpaid subscribers, and the dynamic of this changes. So, better material. Take care, guys. See you tomorrow.